Hi, I would like to talk about what I think is the main game mode of base game Arma Reforger, and that's Conflict Full Everon. Uh, with the recent addition of the game to PS5, there have been a lot of new players that have come in, and there's been a lot of guides that go over the very basics of the game, like how to change your radio and inspect your weapon and everything that you need to know to get started. But I haven't seen anyone make a guide on how to actually play the game mode, because there's a lot of things that new players do that frankly should probably stop. Uh, so first I'd like to go over the main base spawn locations, because there are a lot of them. This map is pretty accurate. I made it myself, but the only one I'm not certain of is this one. I can't remember if it's over here or somewhere over here. It's right in here. It's one of these. But the thing I want to go over is how your spawns affect what you should do as a team. So your spawns are extremely important, and where you spawn completely changes how you need to play the game. If you spawn up here, which is a very rare spawn that you rarely see, obviously you just beeline south. But if you spawn here, which is one of the most common spawns I've ever seen, what a lot of people do is they go north. The main problem with most of these spawns up here is that randoms always want to go north. They want to take the airfield, they want to take St. Philippe, and that loses the game. It completely loses the game for your team if the other team knows what they're doing. Because if you spawn here, the other team likely spawned here. And they're going to take this main base, and then they're going to be on their way to Morton, which is one of the most important points in the game. And then they're going to take Levy, and you might be out to Entredu and Chotain by that point, but then you've lost 4 bases. So securing the center of the map is so extremely important that it will decide the course of a 4-hour game in the first 20 minutes. This spawn is one of the best spawns in the game. This one is one of the worst, but luckily you don't see either of those very much. The most common spawns that you usually see are this one right here for the Russian team usually, and this one right here for the American team usually. Don't ask me why. I wouldn't think that spawns would be weighted in this game, but my experience shows that they seem to be, because I never get this one, never get this one. This, in fact, loading into this to record this video is the first time that I can remember getting this base. This one, hardly ever. This one is very good, and it's a little bit more common than the other ones, but it's still kind of rare. But essentially what you want to do is just secure your starting base that's closest to your starting point. And then from there you push into the rest of the map. St. Pierre and St. Philippe are the last objectives you should ever cap in a game. You should only cap these objectives if you're like a solo and you're just going to do it for XP or something, or you have 4 objectives and you want to win the game. Because if you have military hospital and you have levy, these objectives are completely safe. They're completely yours. No one is going to go back cap that. In addition, if you spawn down here or you're going down here at all, Tower Regina is the only point that you need other than Camarak. I miss it being called Goat Bay. Goat Bay was such a better name. But these 2 objectives are the only ones that you need down here. None of these ever come into play. They will never be fought over. They're never important. If you have Tower Regina and Camarak, you own this whole southern peninsula. Now, the most important points on the map are Chotain and Morton, and I think Chotain's a bit more important. If you have both Chotain and Morton, then you've basically won the game. If the enemy team spawned over here, you have Chotain and Morton, then you have all of this. If they spawned up here, then you can have all of the whole map and win. If they spawn down here, then they lose again because they're stuck down here. These 2 are the linchpin objectives. Whoever holds these usually wins the game, because then they only have to fight over either Lamenton, Levy, or Military Hospital. So your very first objective for your team at the start of the game, after you take your starting objective to get your supplies, is to beeline for one of these. Usually military hospital goes to whoever spawned up there. Usually levy goes to whoever spawned around here. The only time levy's up for grabs is if you spawn like here and here or something like that. But then, this team usually wins if they know what they're doing. Spawns play a huge role in the game. But you have to get out of your spawn quickly, which is what I want to go over next, because spawning in is probably the most stressful point for me, because I have to build everything that we need before the randoms build an arsenal. Because the worst thing that you can possibly do, why are we in the map? What is going on? Don't stop. Okay, there we go. Technical difficulties from me being a complete idiot. As I was saying, the worst thing that you can possibly do in any situation at the start of the game is build an arsenal. What you need is a radio. Radio is the first. If you want, at that point, I usually just build a radio and then book it. But if you want at that point, you can also build a small vehicle depot to help out the people that will be spawning in later. But really, it shouldn't matter. You should have the first objective taken within like 10 minutes or less. If you build an arsenal, what's going to happen is all the blueberries are going to go stand around it, and they're going to eat up all your supplies immediately, trying to build their loadouts. And they're just going to sit there while they slowly wait for supplies to generate so that they can put all 40 of the grenades that they need in their backpack. And you better believe they're going to wait there for 10 minutes to get all their grenades, and they're not going to leave until they do. It completely stalls out the start of the game. Don't do it. Never build an arsenal at the start. You shouldn't build an arsenal at your starting base until you have a main objective. As soon as you get a main objective, supplies are like a thing of the past. Like, they just stop mattering. Wish the supply system was different. Alright, now what I want to talk about is attacking. So for this, I loaded into a normal online match and took a bunch of stuff. So the state of the game right now is actually perfect for this. So when I joined, we spawned here and we had Chotane and Chotane Town. Out of all of the objectives that we have, I solo capped this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. In the time it took for the rest of my team to take Montagnat. So solo and small group operations against the AI is immensely more effective than rolling around as a huge team to just a few objectives. You can get so much more done. Another thing that you need to keep in mind is not to go from, say, this base to this one, here, here, here. Just snake your way as far with your radio range as you can to the nearest main objective. In this case, we already had Chotane, which is one of the most important points on the map, and they spawned up here. So I snaked across the map to get to Lamenton first, and now we have enough points to win whenever we want. We don't have to fight them anymore. All we have to do is hold. And now you'll notice we don't have Entre Deux. And this is actually perfect for this because I think Entre Deux is a huge crutch objective. People take Entre Deux, and then they never take anything around it, especially Andre's Beacon, which no one ever takes, and it's such an important objective if you own Chotane and spawned up here. It's a huge objective that people need to take more. But people take Entre Deux, and then they get a huge amount of radio range, and then they never cap anything else. And it leads to them eventually losing the game because the other team can just come cap Entre Deux and then take the most important point in the whole game from them without them being able to defend it. Also, you might notice that it looks like the Russian team spawned up here. This reiterates my point even further because they spawned up here. We were both even at the start of the game, and they went north. They have two objectives. They went north and took St. Philippe. That's going to lose them this game. If they had gone and taken Lamenton, they would be, you see how much better of a spot they'd be in right now? They'd be winning if they had gone to Lamenton instead of St. Philippe, because they could have gotten there way before me. And if you have a whole team doing that, I mean, you only need, you can go from here to here and take Lamenton. Cavalry Hill is a very important objective to defend Lamenton. and you just have this whole area of the map locked down way earlier. So again, just don't go north. Don't go south. Just focus on the middle. Take these points last. Now, I also want to go over important objectives on the map to hold. So, as you might imagine, most of them are in the center of the map. So some of the most important non-main objectives would be Montanak. This one's huge because it gives you a perfect avenue of attack on Entree Du, which people love to take and then leave completely undefended. Entree Du base itself is obviously fairly important. This one, not so much actually. Tiller's Find is much more important than Gravette here because Tiller's Find gives you radio to Military Hospital and Montanak, and you're not so close to Military Hospital that someone can just ride a random Jeep out and take it back from you. Provence is very important because it's very central. It gives access to a bunch of different points on the map. This is usually a pretty contested point. None of these points right here, Morton Valley kind of matters for getting to Morton, but it's not usually fought over. These two barely matter at all. Oldwood kind of matters. Morton Valley is better for attacking Morton, but Oldwood can give you radio to Morton. Lemoule and Villeneuve are good objectives. Cavalry Hill is arguably more important. If you have Cavalry Hill, it's a very easy objective to defend, and it gives you access to all of these very important objectives that access other important things. So it's a pretty good one to fortify. If you're going to fortify anything, which I'll get into in a minute. Down here, again, Camarac, very important for attacking Levy or attacking Morton. Tower Regina, the only one of any of these objectives that you need to get St. Pierre. Please don't take these. Please stop doing that. Chotain, not usually super important because you can just take Entree Du to attack this, but if you want a more sustained way to attack or to have radio on Chotain, then you take Chotain Town. Now, Andre's Beacon. I think Andre's Beacon is one of the most important points to attack to hold Chotain from, not to attack it really, but to hold it from, because everyone always goes for Entree Du. No one ever goes up here. This never gets touched, and if someone takes it, no one ever takes it back. It's a really underrated objective that I never see anyone go for. The only important objective up here is Tyrone for getting to Military Hospital if you spawn right there. Hornbeam Valley isn't worth taking ever. This one, hardly ever. Just, take it whenever you're done playing and you want to win the game if you need St. Philippe. And, I mean, that's kind of most of the objectives. Now, for attacking these objectives, the best method for the AI is to land just outside the area, deploy a radio if you need to, and then just go in, kill all the AI. And you should be able to do this solo. You should not need any help to fight the AI. It might, you might die once or twice on some objectives. Like Cavalry Hill is one of the harder ones to attack against the AI, but you can still do it solo. You do not need a whole team of 10 people to go kill the AI. The only time that you need large teams attacking the same objective is if you're attacking one of these minor objectives that's highly defended or a major objective. Those are the only times that you should have that much of your team together. If not, if you're not attacking a huge objective, your whole team should be spread out, taking stuff like this guy's doing good, taking Levy, and then we'll have enough radio to end the game whenever we want. We have complete agency over this game just because of snaking through and getting the objectives that we need first. Alright, I think that's everything I have to say about attacking. Now I want to talk about defending your important objectives, because there are some things that almost no one seems to know about that are very important for that. So whenever you're defending an objective, and I'm over here at Lamenton, there's one stat that rules above everything else, and that's this. So what this bar is the difficulty it is to actually cap the objective. So you'll notice whenever you go attack a minor objective that has nothing on it, it caps really fast. And then whenever you go attack a main base, it caps really slow, but it seems to cap way slower whenever it's a main enemy base. Most people think that you take stuff faster from the AI and not the other team, but that's not how it works. So whenever you place something down, like a living quarters, you'll see it adds 7%. That makes the base 7% harder to take. And that leads into the only reason to build well, someone already built it here, so I can't, but the only reason to build the big living quarters. The big living quarters has the same AI capacity as the small one, but it gives 41% base cap. That's the same thing for the field hospital. Someone put one down and didn't build it over here, but the field hospital is almost a completely useless building. It's just medic stuff is not useful. And I have literally never seen anyone roleplay as a medic or sit in a medic hospital. Or I have, but they've never been useful. But a medic tent gives 14% to this bar. For reference, a radio gives less than 1, and an arsenal gives 3. So your small buildings give hardly anything. But your big ones, and even the big vehicle depot, is worth building just for this. It's good. It's good anyway, but still. So that's why some bases are way harder to take, and that's the only use case for the big living quarters and the field hospital. Floodlights don't really add anything. But if you're going to be a base builder and you want to, that's your calling, you want to sit behind your lines and fortify your bases, that's fine. Yeah, I think it's kind of useless for the most part. Just build the big things and move on. But if you want to build sandbags everywhere, they do add a little bit. They do add a little bit to it. So it's not completely useless. But for the love of God, please don't fortify the air base. Please don't fortify a military depot. Please don't fortify like this over here, any of this. Fortify Chotane. Fortify Provence, Montagnag. Fortify Cavalry Hill, for God's sake. That's awesome when it's fortified. Fortify your main objectives, but not this main objective. You see what I'm saying? Don't spend 30 minutes fortifying a base that's never going to get attacked, because I see a lot of that, and it's just kind of annoying to just watch someone, spend 30 minutes up in the corner of the map fortifying the airfield, which people love doing, and it's never going to matter. No one has ever attacked the airfield ever. But yeah, I think that's everything I have to say about defending. Alright, I think that's everything I had to say for my main points of, just main things that you shouldn't do in the game mode. The game mode is going to be changing soon. In the new update, they're going to be adding an LAV for the Americans, a new BTR type vehicle for the Russians, mortars and rocket helis, things like that. I don't think it's going to change change everything too much. The LAV on the Russian side, I don't think will change anything at all. On the American side, people are probably going to love it, and it's probably going to be pretty good against aircraft. I think the mortar is actually going to be pretty useless in this game mode. It's really strong. The mortar is really strong. It's really good at killing people, but it costs 50 supplies per shot. So you set up in a supply base, or you set up somewhere with a supply truck and you get 12 shots from it, and you shell a base, and congratulations, you just did cosmetic damage to a few buildings and killed a couple people who will respawn in 5 seconds. It's not going to be very useful for this, I don't think. Helicopters, I think, will be very useful because helicopters are already absurdly strong once you know how to use them. So being able to, especially with the MI8, being able to go over and just completely obliterate an entire base, accurately and destroy, force everyone on respawn while people are attacking it, I think will be really strong. And the reason that mortars won't be as good for that is because you're not able to be as accurate or as damaging with mortars. If you can essentially wipe the base real quick while your people are, maybe you have people attacking this side and the defenders are around here. If you wipe this side of the base off the map, and then your team starts capping, then as soon as they start capping, you can dismantle the radio, and they won't be able to spawn there. And in the next update, they're changing how radios work to where whenever you're attacking, if you're capping the objective, then you can't spawn there anyway. So it's going to make it even stronger. But I don't think mortars will be strong enough for that. But that's really all I have to say. Let me know what you think, and if y'all like it, I'll make some more.